My name is Lamin Jai, and this is News Review. Coming up today, Dauda Jallow has been sworn in as the new Attorney General and Minister of Justice following the resignation of Abubakar Tambedu. We have a report on that. Also, Manajabate's case has been transferred to Kanifing Police Station. We have a report on that. My guest today would be Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, and we will analyze some of the events that have been happening or taking place in the country. Before all of this, we will quickly go through the papers. I have the Point today. I also have the Standard as usual, the two newspapers there. Let's see what the Point is saying. First, their lead story is saying 7 Nigerians, 4 Gambians arrested with suspected cocaine. Also on the Point, OJ urges APRC to stop glorifying Jame. Government extends state of emergency or public emergency for 7 days. Gambia sliding towards dictatorship. That's according to Manajabote there. Operatives of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia, have arrested 7 Nigerians and 4 Gambians in the Kanifing municipality with suspected cocaine. The Point has been reliably informed. The suspects are currently under the custody of the narcotics officers as investigation into the matter continues. OJ urges APRC to stop glorifying Jame. The former party leader of People's Progressive Party, Omar Amadou Jallow, alias OJ, has urged the supporters of the Alliance for Patriotic Reorientation and Construction, APRC, there to stop glorifying someone who he says has tortured and murdered people. OJ made this plea at CRRC headquarters in Kololi on Wednesday during the reconciliation process between perpetrators and victims of the former regime. Government extends state of emergency by 7 days. This is a press release. His Excellency President Adam Barrow, in consultation with the Ministerial Subcommittee on COVID-19 and based on the advice given by the Health Experts Committee of the Ministry of Health, has decided to extend the state of public emergency in the Gambia by 7 days. Gambia sliding towards dictatorship. Mari Jobate, a prominent human rights activist, has claimed that the country is moving towards dictatorship, arguing that the current status quo is a push towards this dictatorship and not democracy. Let's see what the Standard is saying. Then they are saying that 45 Gambians await return from Lebanon. 18 imams arraigned for flouting COVID-19 restrictions. State of emergency extended by 7 days. That's also reported by the Point. OJ urges APRC to apologize, not glorify. That's a similar story on the Point too. Army in dilemma over General Martin's suspension. So according to the Standard there, the Gambian diplomatic mission in Lebanon is working on repatriating at least 45 Gambians in that country, majority of whom are ladies or women. The Standard has been told. Gambia's Consul General in Lebanon, Khalid Hamoud, said the mission is currently facilitating the return of the Gambians who escaped from captivity from their employers. 18 imams arraigned for flouting COVID-19 restrictions. At least 18 imams were slammed with charges of flouting COVID-19 emergency regulations and paraded before law courts across the country. The Minister for the Interior has revealed. Interior Minister Nkuba Sonko made this revelation yesterday as he entertained questions from lawmakers at the National Assembly in Banjul. Yes, pretty much. I think that's it for the... also on the Standard, they are reporting that army in dilemma over General Martin's suspension. The Gambia Armed Forces has said it is in a dilemma over the fate of one of its suspended generals. Brigadier General Alaji Martin was sent on an indefinite administrative leave since his appearance at the TRRC a year ago, during which he admitted to some but denied other allegations of human rights abuses in the Jame regime. We will take a short break and we'll be right back. Now, the new Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Dauda Jallow, has been sworn in. Mr. Jallow was sworn in today at State House, a day after Mr. Abubakar Tambedu handed over office to him. More in this report.
Here to witness the swearing in of an older son of the land, Honorable Dauda A. Jallow, following his new appointment as Attorney General and Minister of Justice. This appointment comes at a time when we are solidifying the democratic functions built to establish a just and peaceful nation, marked by the rule of law, respect for human rights, and human dignity. Our justice and judiciary sector has been playing a lead role in this direction. However, in spite of the progress made so far, more needs to be done to complete the legal reform process begun within this vital sector. In view of his training, expertise, and character, I am confident that Honorable Jallo's presence in Cabinet will be productive and will further enrich our discussions and decision-making processes for the advancement of the nation. It is a common belief that good governance in any democratic environment must always be grounded in equal rights, justice, and the rule of law. This is not attainable in the absence of a strong judicial and justice system, staffed by competent professionals under impartial and upright leadership. We trust that Honorable Jallo will build on the work of his predecessor and contribute to strengthening the justice sector for the realization of our reform objectives and national agendas. Honorable Jallo, I congratulate you and thank you for accepting this appointment, which comes with challenges. Tampering justice is not an easy task, and doing so consistently and with impartiality is more challenging than many can imagine. Your experience convinces us that you will measure up to expectations. We wish you a successful tenure of office. Ladies and gentlemen, in February 2017, I presided over the swearing-in ceremony of the members of my first cabinet. Among them was Honorable Abubakar Mari Tambedu. As a team, we pledged to execute relevant institutional and legal reforms and committed ourselves to transforming the Gambia into a full-fledged democracy for the overall development of the people. Today, as Honorable Tambedu leaves us for other pursuits, he has not only made a name for himself, but also leaves behind an indelible mark on our legal reform program. This occasion offers me the opportunity to thank him for his selfless service to the nation. Despite the many challenges that confronted us from the outset, we have been able to weather the storm this far. On behalf of the entire nation, I thank Honorable Tambedu and wish him luck in his endeavors. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I appeal to all Gambians to unite and be law-abiding citizens. Maintaining peace and stability in the country hinges on the respect for the rule of law and allowing our law enforcement officers to perform their duties without hindrance. Let us remain united. Unity fosters peace and prevents crime and disorder. We are a diverse people, but our diversity should not breed hate or hostility. Instead, it should be a source of inspiration, pride, and strength in building peace and strengthening social cohesion. Therefore, let us stand united as proud Gambians. I thank you for your kind attention.
President Adama Barrow speaking there at the swearing-in ceremony or event of Mr. Dauda A. Jallow, who replaced Abubakar Tambedu there. So Madi Jabate today went to Kanifing police station after he went to Karaba police station first, where officers told him that his case has been moved. Mr. Jabate was charged with false publication 2 days ago. Umiso reports.
Madi Jabate is a human rights and development worker with over 20 years of experience in governance and development work, including promotion and defense of human rights, raising civic awareness and development capacity for empowerment, having actively worked with the media for more than a decade. Mr. Jabate was recently charged in respect of comments he made at the Black Lives Matter, the Gambia protest. Concerned relatives and friends were there to witness and show support upon his release from police custody.
Madi munke ma do malet anenke ma be bakilin fakilin yo baringa ne kuya basoto ne kuya me yalo ma dandulalo katu Madi Jabate mo kendolom mo betolom Madi adingul mutanyami ay entel dingul be mutawole nyama ay kabilo be mutawonyale yo sila nola kube keri ni okuyata ntorata anda kuo ye menke Madi man fenkane luwa manta yo katumbe demokrasi le kono momo ela right sotole nyanta diamula sila monta man sakunda mampare mo e diam mo be taradere woton tel to tanola nyina mon tel jalukunda mo fula yenke male folo mutala sana Jobate ya jame ya muta tilikonon to abeburu yo silang ina tanke ma do fana muta menketa maditi akuo kuyata kabiloe amandiya nye men kono nun muruta wala kono andu wo manya nakela kato ninko demokrasi woto mobe nyanta kairo sotolale bar hanila bu kono ite diamula siloke te diamula dawdandi woto firi mantara Gambia sai men man sake folo me ye kuru yake wa kuru yakilin wala muruta Gambia kono wala muntela kumote Madi muntel barineti bari mumu bi aketa Gambia karakilin bi barineti kada be doko munna amantar doko la kunkiliyede abe doko la Gambia bele kadu bi ay multo menson nin ko kono ya muta dalilo munna Madi nol ma hani den bara yalo ne ko nyanto lo munibe ko kele bi ka kele ikunkilin da may ika kele pour ila banko bele ada be lori wosin la birin kunu adun be kuma kilim fola man sakundai ye fenne majang itel fama mun kalangolo kadun ye jalolu le ka molu tandi le ka mansal tandi le ka kobe tandi yaay jame yaki janne ay jalolu muta barama wati de
I think it's very unfortunate. I mean, it's disappointing, and I don't know how to express myself. But we have seen this for 22 years, trying to suppress people's view, freedom of speech and all that. And now we are having the same thing. It's very, very unfortunate. But the most disappointing part of it, there are people in this government who have fought against the 22 years dictatorship. Now they are in the government. They are seeing what is happening. And I think they should speak out. Honestly, they should speak out. This is a country that belongs to everybody, and we want this country to be a good country. Nobody wants this country to go into chaos. But what we want is for people to have the freedom to talk about issues. It's all national development.
We've seen wars, we saw wars under Yahya Jammeh, and my message is that regardless of what the government is doing, we need to remain steadfast, express our opinions. This is supposed to be a democracy. Barrow and his government don't own the Gambia, and according to our constitution, we should be able to express ourselves. I went through that on the Yahya Jammeh's time, simply printed T-shirt saying end to dictatorship, And after I was released, I continued the fight. And there's no way we can bring about change and then allow Barrow to move us back to the status quo ante. We will not allow it. I think it's an indication that we still have a lot of work to do, that dictatorship has not ended in this country, because I don't see why anyone should be arrested for simply expressing their opinions.
Sekou Jammeh, a member of the Gambia Press Union, said journalists have the right to freedom of speech.
This is something that is not desirable in a democracy. If you really are interested in democracy and you want to really grow it, you know that speech is so fundamental to that, and people should be free at all times to speak their opinion and without facing any repercussions for that. So it's really quite unfortunate when people like Mahdi can be punished for their comments. Then there will be self-censorship. Anytime anyone that you approach, for example, to talk to, they will say, we are not going to comment because if we comment, we will be punished for our comments. And that is what brings about what we call self-censorship, you know, and it does what we also call a chilling effect on freedom of expression in the Gambia.
After speaking to Mahdi Jabate, he made it clear that his recent encounter with the police will not stop him from advocating for the rights of citizens.
Well, today they transferred it to prosecution office, and the prosecution office bailed me again, and now they said I report on Monday, and they intend to take it to the court. So they're going to prosecute me for false publication and for false publication and broadcasting. The threats against democracy are real. The potential for dictatorship are real. So if anything, I think today is the day I have to get even more resolved to realize that this fight has to start afresh. So I mean, I'm further encouraged and inspired to continue this fight.
The recent arrest of journalists and activists in the country reflects memories of the 22 years of brutal repression by former President Jammeh, where journalists and activists were being arrested for doing their work. Now we are forced to believe that the members of the press are yet to enjoy press freedom, as they call it. Reporting for the Fatu Network News Review, Umiso. Mahdi Jabate.
Now, water is one of the most important necessities to humans, but inadequate water supply in some communities has seen NAWEC donate 2 water tanks to the people of Welingara community there. The tanks are mounted at the town's Bantaba. But how are these 2 tanks being maintained? Mati Senghor has been finding out.
Water has been a major issue for communities in the Gambia. This prompted the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC, to donate 2 water tanks to Welingara. Mounted at the community's Bantaba, the 2 tanks have fallen well short of meeting the town's water needs, since the water isn't enough for a compound toddlers of a whole community.
So li du de muna doylu li yeb dal do bi do ñu de muna doylu li tang bi dañu ko dojo way tang bi dafa tuti so tang bi dafa tuti pour lolu so luñ am pour dal ga yokal ñu dal because lolu sax suñu amé benen ñaar bu em ni façon tang bu em ni wala ga yokal ñu lu opa bu sax because of am ga convenant bi nekkul ne comme lolu su jeexé rek affaire dafa wara stop no dafa wara continuer because fi doomi arama do mëna survive without water xam nga fu mu jaar dal water bi war na bokk ci sa water dal ci sa everything la bokk.
du dee am I fande benn fande sax du dee mot sa benn fan daf dee jeex wax dëgg yàlla suñ ko feesalee sa ndox bi duñu dee doy wax dëgg yàlla parce que nee nañ 5000 litres la waaye du dee doy de wax dëgg parce que Welingara fii yëpp area bi yëpp fii nii amuñ benn ndox wax dëgg duñ dee am ndox suñ pompe yi du dee ñëw guddi ba guddi la daan ñëw léegi guddi bi sax du dee ñëw léegi waaw daf dee toog 1 month du ñëw.
The tanks were given to the community shortly after the coronavirus pandemic hits. The people of Welingara say NAWEC said that they will be coming back for their tanks after the pandemic.
Convenant mi su jeexee lii ne ñu ko bàyyi fii nii because of fu mu nekk ñun suñ doxee li fii nii xamuñ kañ la moo setul so ñun si tànk yi lañ ko mën a yaakaar at this moment because bu dul loolu noonu duñ mën a am ndox ba pare fii tamit su jeexee suñ problème ndox ba tey still dafa continuer because complain nañ ko several years suñ ko complain every year dañ dee am complain lu but still daal.
Water is a major issue for public places, as we found out at Westfield Bakau Garage, where a 2,000 litres water tank is mounted.
Ako puru kurang nyin na karola. Drivable ning apparentol ning passenger nyolu. Konsi karimbulo kuala. Ala starting nimmo passenger nata nabe dunna moto kon nka fay ne buloku.
NAWEC should be refilling the tank when it's empty, but since it got finished, it was never refilled, according to those found at the garage.
Barbirin o tanko njio nyimbanta nkumbota ye kotega puri ya fil molie ya fil sinya kerin woni mbite mabira banda kadu nyin tanko amanya na a week anyanta dano Monday to Friday na banta woto doro next Monday nyanta ka fil kadu jammu drive garage balet kiliano lu kanale anyama drive ball fanambija hanmu manke drive ball ti tambila ni tankoje nka dol fole alna ali al buloku.
We've been to Welingara Bantaba, a community where water supply is their major problem. And right now we're here at Westfield at the Bagway garage, and we've seen a 2,000 liters water tank that was donated to them by the Transport Union. But since this water got finished, it was never refilled. And this tank was given to them to protect themselves from the COVID-19. Reporting for the Fatene World News Review, I am Mati Senghor.
TAF Africa Global is proud to launch the Moria Gardens, conveniently located in Bruford, 5 minutes off the Bruford Highway. Moria Gardens is set to comprise of 20 fenced and gated service plots with sizes ranging from 264 to 420 meters square. Unique features include water and electricity infrastructure, solar street lights, all-weather roads and scenic gardens. We offer a 10-year mortgage plan with a 25% equity down payment in partnership with GT Bank, Trust Bank and EcoBank. For more information, please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333 or visit our offices at Madiba Mall at Taft Bruford Gardens, opposite 5-Star Hotel.
So, top political scientist Dr. Ismaila Ceesay joins me now, and we will be talking about the issues in the context, of course, in the context of politics. Doc, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
Doc, there have been a few events here and there, but let's start with the resignation of Mr. Abubakar Tambedu as the country's Attorney General and Minister of Justice there, coming at a time when, you know, the transition, we have about 18 months before the end of this president's term. Well, politically, what does his departure means for the country?
It still surprises me that you keep on calling it a transition. The transition has failed. It was supposed to be a transition, but it was aborted a long time ago. Of course, transitions thrive under conditions of predictability. For example, under conditions of, at least there should be some kind of what we saw in the past 2-3 years during the transition is the changing of, is business as usual. Because I think Batambedo is the linchpin of the whole transitional justice process. And he was the last man standing. If you consider all the important ministries that were supposed to guide the whole transition, we've seen the ministry of, how many ministers of justice, foreign affairs we've had since the transition started. We've changed ministers at the foreign affairs department. We've changed at the local government department. We've changed at the ministry of finance. We've changed at the ministry of interior. So it's not a transition anymore. And he was the last who was there. And I think it doesn't augur well for the whole transition project. Like I said, he started the whole thing. He was the mastermind of the transition, of the whole process. He shaped it. It was his brainchild. He was supposed to guide it until it was concluded, and then he can hand over, and then Gambians can judge him. But abandoning the whole project in mid-air at a time when there are fears that the whole project is crumbling, it's a big disappointment.
But why do you think Abubakar Tambedu stayed this long? You've mentioned that there have been changes in all these ministries, but he is the one, maybe the other person would be Amat Bah, tourism. Why do you think Batambedu stayed long enough? If he had not resigned, one might say that he might stay until next year.
But there are reports that he has tendered his resignations a couple of times, but the presidency would not accept his resignation. But that is just rumors. We cannot confirm that. What we can confirm is that his ministry, insofar as the whole transitional justice project is concerned, his ministry was the most important ministry, because his ministry was supposed to oversee the TRRC, was supposed to oversee the CRC, was supposed to oversee the Jane Commission, was supposed to set up the national human. So it was the most important ministry insofar as the whole transitional justice project is concerned, and he was in fact the most busy minister of all the ministers. So obviously, perhaps that explains why he stayed so long, and that even though there are rumors, we cannot still confirm that sometimes he wouldn't agree with the president on certain issues. But again, I think the president saw that what was needed at the Ministry of Justice, insofar as the whole process is concerned, was some kind of continuity. And until now, he was able to do it. But why he resigned now at this very critical juncture of the whole process is something that many Gambians are not really happy with, and something that will really has a potential to derail the whole transitional justice project, even though we know the transition has been aborted because it's business as usual. We see the president hiring and firing. We see abuse of office taking place. We see many things taking place. But at least the whole project was, we are thinking, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's end the whole process and see where we will be as Gambians. But again, his departure at this very critical juncture really is not good. So,
but what do you make of, I know there are a lot of speculation out there really that he did say that personal reasons was what sparked his resignation, but there are speculations here and there that in fact it is not that, it is the sustained criticism directed at him that has, you know, forced him to resign.
But what do you expect? You cannot expect to oversee a transitional justice process that involves a party that was in power for 22 years, and you don't expect criticism, obviously. Barrow is the most criticized president. He didn't resign. So obviously, it comes with the job. I mean, if you were doing it for country, no matter the amount of pressure, no matter the amount of criticism you are facing, I think you should have just stayed. And in fact, that's what an opportunity for him to finish the job, and then prove the naysayers wrong, that I was criticized, but here I've delivered a transitional justice project. But now what he's done is to really endorse and validate the criticisms that he was incapable of the job. That is why he ran away in mid-flight.
That it's incompetence that led to his resignation?
I wouldn't use incompetence. I think that perhaps he sensed that the whole thing is crumbling under his feet, and that he wouldn't want to associate himself.
But which captain does that? You take your ship to the middle of the ocean and then abandon it there.
No serious captain. Like the example I gave you, the captain flying his aircraft, and in mid-flight you abandon the aircraft and you jumped off with a parachute. And that is what he did, and leaving the crew and the passengers scrambling for their lives. The flight is heading for an unknown destination. Will the autopilot work? Well, we don't know. Well, that's a new captain though. But is he qualified enough? Has he got the same clout? Does he understand the complex issues?
That's the new captain there, because just today he was sworn in.
Exactly. We don't know whether he will, so time will tell. But I'm not very optimistic.
You ask a lot of people, they will tell you, well, Mr. Dawda Jallow is a very level-headed man. I know him personally. But then what do you really, do you think he would be able to serve it out? 18 months?
Well, it's too early for us to say. I mean, I don't know him that much. We have not interacted at a personal level. But based on his CV, he's qualified to be a justice minister. But you have to understand, again, it's about the processes that are at play here. It's about the complex process that are at play. Does he have the clout? Can he really challenge the president? Because the president is doing politics, and the transitional justice mechanism is not politics. The president has an agenda. The Gambian people has an agenda. And I think any justice minister that is supposed to serve should serve the interests of the Gambian people by ensuring that they deliver a transition that is fit for purpose. But again, sometimes there can be a conflict between the president's agenda and the direction of the whole transitional justice of the whole transitional justice process. And there are examples abound. So we don't know whether he would be able to resist those kind of temptations to be lured into play politics. We don't know that.
To play politics. Now away from that, let's talk about Madi Jobate. Here is one of the most prominent activists in this country, someone who is not afraid when it comes to speaking truth to power. But what we have seen is that he's been charged with false publication over comments he made, similar to really what you went through some 2 years ago, 2018. What do you make of it?
It's a frivolous charge. It has no basis. I mean, obviously, I listened to that tape many times, and I didn't see anywhere where Madi has really said something false. What he said is his opinion, and in fact, he has a right to his opinion. I think there is an agenda by this government to silence critics, and we cannot allow it. They've attempted it many times, and it has failed. But one thing that we can say for sure is that we Gambians, our mind has been reset to democracy mode. Sometimes the population changes faster than the state when there's a transition from autocracy to democracy. Perhaps they are still there at that mode, but we are democracy mode, and no amount of arrests, no amount of can intimidate the citizenry. And you've seen Mahdi is in good spirits. We were at the police station today. He is still strong, and I think what he said that led to his arrest, if given the chance, he would say the same thing again, because he believes in what he's saying. He's been the most consistent critic of this government, not because of his not because he said he's not afraid. It's because he is not afraid to speak the truth. He's not afraid to fight for social justice. He's not afraid to speak against injustice. He's not afraid to speak against government corruption. He's not afraid to speak against government incompetence. So obviously he will be a target for this government. But again, he's been charged, and we leave the rest of the courts to decide.
To decide that. Doc, this issue of homosexuality has been raging. Doc, I know you've spoken, you've stated your mind, maybe to other, but I want to know, what is your position on it? People say doctor is a progressive thinker. What is your position?
Let me tell you something.
What is your position?
I'll tell you something.
Yes.
Forget about my position for now.
Yes.
I'll tell you something. You see, this issue of homosexuality, it's not our main problem in the Gambia today.
Yes.
We have more important issues to discuss.
Yes.
We have the lack of roads
Yes.
for rural communities.
Yes.
We have the lack of electricity
Yes.
and water.
Yes.
We have skyrocketing prices.
Yes.
We have many problems. The education system is faltering. There are no basic facilities. So I think these are issues. But if you say progressive, what do you mean by progressive? You cannot be more progressive than your society. Yes. I mean, I'm from a society that has values. No matter the kind of education system I have, no matter the kind of Western university I attended, I came from somewhere, and that somewhere has values, and I maintain those values. They don't change, except those that ones are backward, perhaps, maybe. But I mean, I have my values, and my values are that it is against my religion to promote or to support same-sex marriage, and
your values are against it, and so doctors.
But even the Gambian laws are against it. The Gambian laws are against it. My religion, I'm a Muslim, and I cannot claim to be a Muslim and then come and support something that my religion condemns. I'm not calling for people to take the law into their own hands. I'm not saying that anybody who is gay should be discriminated against. They have a right. Anybody who is gay is a human being. They have a right to education, healthcare, employment. But again, I cannot support a situation where we'll say we are going to allow same-sex marriage in the Gambia. That's not something I would endorse or support.
Doc, how have you been holding up this coronavirus crisis? Is still with us there? How have you been holding up school?
Well,
I know you've been doing a lot of teaching.
Yes, of course. We're on exams now. But again, I just saw yesterday that the presidency has extended
the state of emergency.
Well, I hope this is the last, because we are not going to accept a situation where we are going to abuse your power to be extending the state of emergency at your whims and caprices. We cannot allow that situation. Yes. They've mismanaged the COVID funds. They've acted incompetently in their response to the COVID-19 crisis. And when other governments are now opening up, even our neighbor, they have lifted their state of emergency. They're allowing opening their airports on the 15th. You cannot be holding us hostage. And I hope this will be the last 7 days, because otherwise it wouldn't look very good if he has to extend it again, because then again Gambians, we cannot sit back and allow this government to be taking us for granted, to be taking us as fools. I think this is how the previous government started, by abusing office, and then we are not resisting. But now we are not going to allow it to be extended again, because there is no basis for its extension. They failed in every aspect. The response is failed. The food relief has failed. They've mismanaged the funds. They don't know what. In fact, the person who they brought to lead the whole process resigned because of their incompetence and because of the way things are going. So you cannot come and use your powers to say that you are going to keep on extending it by 7 days just because the Constitution gives you those powers. We cannot allow it. So I just hope that this will be the last extension.
The last extension. Doc, when are you going to call on the president? When are you going to meet him and discuss issues, really, of national interest?
Whenever I'm invited.
But you are not going to request or ask to see him to talk about, of course, the country issues?
I mean, obviously, he's the president.
I think you should request, not him inviting you.
Yeah, no, but necessarily, I don't see the need.
Really, to meet him?
No, for me to request for us to discuss issues of national concern. I mean, obviously, I can meet him in a different capacity, perhaps, to discuss issues, but I don't think that would be public, perhaps. I'm not the only Gambian in the Gambia, so obviously, would you request to meet him? You are also a citizen, you have a right to meet him, and everybody else has a right to meet him.
I am actually trying to put in a request to interview him, so hopefully,
exactly.
Let's see how that goes.
Because of your job, but I'm just a normal citizen, so obviously, I can criticize from a critique from afar. If he thinks that he needs my expertise, I've said it here in your platform before, that even if he needs my expertise, I'll be ready to help him. And in fact, we did reach out, obviously, to him to say they want to support him fight COVID-19, but we didn't get any response. So obviously, that's what we can do.
Doc, finally, you have anything more to add?
No, I mean, obviously, this whole thing with Madi Jabate, I think Gambians should now wake up. There is a fear that we might be sleepwalking back into dictatorship if we allow these things to pass. And I'm glad that Madi is standing his ground. And yesterday we were at the police station, today we were there as well. Gambians are behind him. If you see the crowd that comes out to the police station to show solidarity, it shows that Gambians are ready for business, even though maybe the government is not ready, but we are ready for business. And my final advice to the government, to the President Barrow government, is that let them not extend the 7 days again using powers that he claims to have given to him by the Constitution. There must be strong basis for the extension of the state of emergency, and they don't have those bases. You cannot be extending it without talking to the people, telling us why you think we should extend this state of emergency. So for me, I see that as abuse of power, and we cannot allow that to happen.
And they should also stop wasting Madi Jabate's time.
Come on, I mean, they should drop. I mean, those charges are frivolous. Even a child who can't read, if he sees those charges, if you tell him these are the charges against Madi Jabate, he'll know that these are frivolous charges. I think they should release him, not release him, they should drop those charges immediately, and perhaps they should apologize to Madi for wasting his time and for wasting our time, because we've spent at least a couple of hours in the police station.
In the police station there. Yes. Doc, thank you very much. I appreciate it for coming. Dr. Ismaila Ceesay there speaking to me. So now the EU, an EU-backed award ceremony for artists to fight COVID-19 has been held. The initiative is supported by the EU Emergency Trust Fund for Africa through the Youth Empowerment Project implemented by the International Trade Center in partnership or collaboration with the Gambia government. Mati Sangor tells us more. Yes. Okay, I think that report is not ready. So with that, we'll come to the end of today's show. Thank you for being there. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.